Thank you for joining us for this episode of Inside Town Hall. I'm your host, Madeline Shields. Projects in technology that originate in nearby cities are making a huge impact on what happens in Sioux Falls now and in the near future. Joining me this month is City Councilor Curt Soehl, and his guest is Stacy Koistra, who is the Chief Operating Officer and General Counsel at Dakota State University Applied Research Corporation in Madison, South Dakota. Thanks for joining us, both of you. That's quite a handle. And first, Councilor Soehl, would you like to tell us a little bit about your guest before we get into what his current role is, but what his past role was?
Absolutely. I'm very happy to have Stacy come. And I got acquainted with Stacy in his 5 years when he was the counsel for the city of Sioux Falls as our city attorney. He did a great job in this opportunity. If we roll back the clock a little bit, if we talk about technology and how the city of Sioux Falls is moving forward, we're excited for this project. The city put in $10 million toward this project and eventually led Stacy to that position. So I thought it'd be great for us to get an update on how that's going. And there's been some news lately about agreements that have been coming forward. So as they start construction and move forward, I just thought it'd be great to have Stacy here. And with that, Stacy, could you just give us how in the heck did you come to this position from when you were born in Iowa, all of these things, and come forward?
Well, that's a good question, and it's one of those circumstances I've explained before. It seems as if I inadvertently was preparing for this position my whole life. From my time coming out of the University of Sioux Falls and overseas to Sweden, and then back here to South Dakota briefly in the political science program at USD, to a military career that started with an enlistment and station back in Europe, in Germany, and then into the intelligence field as an officer, military intelligence officer with the 1st Infantry Division, and then back to South Dakota for law school. And the Army National Guard and an intelligence position there, which led to a law degree and a JAG position on the Air Force side with the Air National Guard. And that has just, from private practice and again my time with the city, it just seemed to lead to a combination of things that made for a really interesting fit, I think, both ways. So.
Let's talk a little bit about Dakota State University and the Applied Research Corporation. First off, Dakota State University is just growing by leaps and bounds, and like I said in the intro, they're just about 30 minutes from Sioux Falls. How is what is going on that campus affecting the city of Sioux Falls?
Well, from the city's perspective, when we had the opportunity to join the collaboration that was going to bring this forward, it's exciting to hear the fact that it could be up to 1,000 jobs, good, high-paying jobs, technical jobs. So that's good for the city of Sioux Falls. And the team, with what they've done up in Madison in that whole realm, which honestly, sometimes I can't even get my password right to hear the cybersecurity people coming, I think is exciting. So to bring those jobs to Sioux Falls is the good thing, I think, for the city, and that's why we partnered with them. On how that's all going to go down, I'm going to look for Stacy to bring us some more updated information on that.
Sure. Let's talk a little bit about what is the Applied Research Corporation. It's already started and established at Dakota State University, but then they're going to expand to Sioux Falls.
Yes, and this is where some of the lawyerly pieces kick in, because it is a Dakota State University oriented effort, or originated at Dakota State, but this new nonprofit is a distinct entity. It is a 501c3 nonprofit corporation that is tax exempt by virtue of its affiliation with the university. So the Applied Research Corporation, and of course it has Dakota State University in its name, will always be aligned, but it is separate. And what that does is it facilitates really more of an expanded and more nimble contracting and cyber research entity that does then align, of course, with the job goals of the city of Sioux Falls, and the unique opportunity to stand that up here while also maintaining those close ties to Madison, because as far as physical space goes, and as we delve into maybe the more classified-oriented components to this, those facilities will exist in Madison and in Sioux Falls.
You know, when my kids were younger, they'd go to the cyber camps and at DSU. What has happened that it has completely turned into cyber research, cyber technology, and how awesome is that it's right here close to Sioux Falls?
Yeah, it's amazing, you know, and it's born out of some of the early vision that they had for Dakota State University to go into this cyber realm, and then of course the generosity of the business community. You look at, you know, alum Miles Beacom and some of the things that they did 8 to 10 years ago to really inject some energy into this program, and obviously I'm biased. I'm affiliated with the project now, but to see, you know, Dakota State really have elevated into the top echelons nationally, right here out of Madison, South Dakota, right? And to be actively competing with the, you know, your Stanfords and MITs and John Hopkins, and to have Dakota State being named in those same breaths is really a testament to the early vision all the way through all the cylinders that are firing, including the relationship with the city.
The Applied Research Corporation, you talked about it being a nonprofit. What exactly is going to come out of that, and how big is this going to get? Because it's a lab, and it'll currently, is that the $1 million question? There's a lab that's currently in Madison on the campus, and then it's Sioux Falls is building a constructed building at the Sanford Fort Sports Complex. It will open about 2026, 100,000 square foot facility with 400 researchers. What are they going to be doing there?
Well, if you look at it as it stands today, what you're referring to in Madison is called the Applied Research Lab. Okay, and that's there are roughly 20 research engineers that work there that do this contract work with the Department of Defense and some of our 3-letter agencies in the government, and that lab is what will transition basically into the corporation, and that's largely people, right? And they're the cyber experts that apply their expertise to fulfill these contracts with the Department of Defense. And again, largely the Department of Defense. But what you'll see is as it grows, the lab in Madison is roughly 20,000 square feet. This project, and you refer to basically phase 1, which would be a 100,000 square foot facility, where it would actually be what we anticipate as a hybrid, some classified areas, some unclassified areas, so you could actually, because you're not always doing classified work, right? And so you want to marshal the efficiencies of that by having people in those secure areas when you need that. Otherwise, you know, they're able to just do the other components of the work, and you can hot-cot that a little bit with people going in and out. As far as the facility itself goes, and the 400 employees that you're referring to, that's kind of a phase 1 concept, and the goal for phase 2 and for phase 3 are to have similarly sized, if not identical sized, facilities co-located right there, so that we could grow to that 1,000+ employee baseline, which you know, hopefully would be even up into the 1,200 to 1,400 range.
Now, is this project bringing students to South Dakota?
Yes and no. I mean, it is DSU that is the draw. Obviously, you know, this corporation is new. It was formed in October of last year. But when you look at the scope of the $90 million project, right, with Denny Sanford's contribution and the state of South Dakota's and the cities, the $30 million from the state is largely dedicated to that pipeline. And I think of that, and this is probably more in a military sort of mindset, but from a cradle to grave type mentality, like from the K through 12 origins and, you know, those kids that are coming of age, to can we get them to on campus to Madison, and of course they are recruiting, and of course there are people who are just know of the program and want to come just by its own virtues. And then from there, what we want to do is capture the best and the brightest and keep them right here, and continue to remain in that elite component for DSU, but also take this corporation as one that, in the scale of things nationally, there are other applied research corporations. There are, of course, private for-profit corporations that do this. This will not be the largest contracted entity in America that does this type of work, but obviously we're going to be focused on being the best, and DSU is the platform upon which we really will build that.
See, that's one of the things that excites me about this project for the city of Sioux Falls. I mean, to bring those type of students to Madison and also to eventually work in Sioux Falls, hopefully, to get those type of people. Not everybody can be a plumber or a bricklayer. Some people do like to travel down the academic world and put their brains to use more than their hands. Now, I will say, along with those people that are going to have high-paying jobs, the fact that we do have plumbers and electricians and I had a plumber at my house this morning. I know what they make per hour, and I will tell you what, that's a good job in today's world too. But to have the diversity for our economic well-being in Sioux Falls is exciting for me. So as we put the money forward and look for this, and I know it says 2026 is kind of the completion date, and we know how construction projects work, I'm certainly looking forward to that, to get those people on board. To have people running around to be cyber sleuths in the city of Sioux Falls, that's a good thing for us.
And that's just phase 1, right? You're saying, and then there's going to be phase 2 and phase 3 to eventually get a workforce of maybe 1,000 people. What kind of, when you're dealing with cybersecurity, is this for corporations, for government entities, for what are we looking at? Who are the customers?
That's a great question, and it really starts on the government side, and there's primarily a military thrust to that. Obviously, we have a lot of needs militarily for cyber advancement, cyber defense, and other aspects of that. And so when you look at the individual branches, and one of them I expect we'll be talking about is the Army. You had referred earlier to an agreement there. But that also does not limit involvement with the National Security Agency, then the other 3-letter agencies, and that can be any federal agency from FBI, CIA, to the Department of Energy, to whoever. You know, I mean, we all understand cyber impacts everything now. The reference that Senator Rounds made recently to no war will start anymore without it being a cyber war first. And so, yeah, the customers will be anyone. I think as a corporation, we would have the ability to also contract with private companies, excuse me, and other level governments, state and local governments. But the reality is the contracting focus would be on that large-scale cyber work.
So you think of, like, you know, when I think of cybersecurity, I'm also thinking of banking industry and, you know, big corporations. Would that be maybe in those other phases, or maybe a whole separate?
Yes and no. One of the things you'll find with the large corporations is they are largely cyber self-sufficient, right? They have their programs, they have their hires and that sort of thing. We work with the state, and this project will be involved with other state entities like the BIT, the Bureau of Information Technology, and the Fusion Center. And CISA, which is, you know, a federal agency but has employees here, and they really focus on a lot of what would be your smaller to medium-sized businesses, because they don't have the assets and the resources to be able to protect themselves, let alone the know-how. And so what I envision for the Applied Research Corporation is that we will complement those efforts and fill those as needed, but there are a lot of agencies and a lot of smart people that are covering down on all different echelons, both on the government side and on the private business side.
You know, we just touched briefly on the funders of this project. It's $90 million towards this initiative is, then $50 million is from Denny Sanford, $10 million from the City of Sioux Falls, $250,000 from Forward Sioux Falls, $30 million from the state of South Dakota, and $10 million from, let's see, City of Sioux Falls, and that's for infrastructure at the site. Can you talk a little bit about that, and what has to happen to make that commitment from the city's side?
Well, the infrastructure part, you know, the sewer and water and stuff, and certainly we have some roads that we have to deal with out towards that area. The road that goes into the sports complex from the interstate there, we're going to have to redo that. It's in the CIP budget to get that done. That's a big one coming forward. There's other projects out in the Sanford sports area that are coming that we really think need the road to be done as soon as possible. So as the mayor goes through his CIP and his presentation coming up on July 20th, when we're talking about that, some of the councilors want to take a really good look at the timetable on that, because if there's construction going on at this site, there's construction going on at the sports complex, we want to make sure that road is not an impediment to stop the construction that's going forward. So that's one thing. So as we bring our sewer and water, as we do with every new place, we're going to try and figure out how that's going to work.
And what's your role in all of this? That's, I mean, you come from a very diverse background. I mean, obviously that's a big job.
Right. Well, you know how to eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time. And one of the things I would note from the infrastructure point of view, another donor is Sanford Health with the land. So that's literally where the foundation of this will be built, is on that property, which will be adjacent to their virtual care center. But as far as my role, there are a lot of different components to that. One is the development piece, right? Now the land is going from Sanford to the Board of Regents. So the Applied Research Corporation is actually going to be a tenant of the state of South Dakota. So they'll be the landlord. The ARC will be the operational component of that. And so there's everything that comes with standing up a corporation, right? From developing an HR department and finance, and being prepared to transition in the employees and grow the employees. So from a background point of view, that's helpful. Again, to the development side, it's working through the contractual component of that. I had the opportunity to learn a little bit about that during my time at the city. And so what does it take to get this project built? Of course, I'm working closely with the Dakota State University employees on that, some of whom will transition into the ARC side of it with that move. An example of that is the executive director of the Applied Research Lab, Joel Winutka. So he's a state employee. And he and I work closely together as we ensure that we're covering down on the state obligations on the university side to fulfill the contracts and things that we have, and get contracted for the construction of the property, even as we look to stand up the corporation, and then the transition. And that transition is a complex one as well, just because you have to look at all the existing contracts that exist with the various agencies, and those two will have to be transitioned in. And as we look at the facility themselves and the classified component of all of this, you need to have not only the facilities qualified and capable of doing that, but you need to have basically what's called a facility clearance license, which is really the federal government saying this entity, this organization, is authorized to conduct classified research. And so there are a lot of components where you've got to build it, and then you've got to build it right, and it's a really neat opportunity to do that.
I have a question, Stacy, as we talked about this. And
I thought she...
No, I'm asking one question.
I let him do that.
Nobody told me that, but that's okay.
What's it take to get top secret clearance?
To get a top secret clearance, it starts with clean living, right? And then what you have to do is, it all kind of starts with the need to know, right? So you have to be in some capacity where, again, the government has said that you are going to need to have access to this, and so we're going to go through your background. And there's a document called an SF-86, which is a lengthy document where you lay out your history, basically, from where you've lived to your contacts to all your personal information, and they undertake a background investigation of you, and that takes a while. One of the things in the classified world is there are different levels, right? You often think of top secrets, security clearance, but there are secret levels and those sort of things. And of course, as you climb the ladder there, the background review gets more intense. And then when you're at some of the top secret levels, then you have some ongoing reporting requirements when it comes to things like foreign contacts and different transactions that may occur in your life.
Do you think that the city of Sioux Falls has enough people with top secret clearance to fill the employment needs that are going to happen there?
Again, there's a real DSU origin story to that, because as these students grow through the program, and as part of the unique opportunity, and I don't work for DSU, I work with them, but not to sound like a recruiting commercial, but as they develop the expertise, they often start that process while they're in college to do those SF-86s. And so I, of course, dealt with some of that back in my Army intelligence days when, you know, I'm in my 30s or whatever, and then you do it again when you're in your 40s and 50s, and you fill out this paperwork. Your story gets a little longer as you go through it. And so when they're young students, they haven't moved a lot of places, but there is definitely a mindfulness that they have to have as students, that if I want to go into the cyber realm, I have to be able to be clear to do the kind of work that may need to be done, certainly if you're involving the federal government at any stage.
Okay.
So does that answer your question,
That's great.
Counselor?
Great answer.
Well, great. Well, this is not the last time that we're going to be hearing about this project, I'm sure. So we appreciate all of your information, and thank you for joining us for Inside Town Hall.
Well, thank you for having me.
You bet. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the 2024 proposed budget for the city of Sioux Falls. We'll be back in just a moment.
A healthy community relies on exceptional, affordable health care. With a primary location on North Main Avenue downtown, Falls Community Health is a community health system focused on protecting and promoting health and well-being in Sioux Falls. How do we do that? By making great health care physically, financially, and culturally accessible. Our passionate team, well-maintained facilities, and up-to-date equipment allow us to provide complete primary care, including medical, dental, and counseling services. Providers also help patients connect with additional services and resources in Sioux Falls to support a healthy, happy life. And it's affordable. FCH offers a unique payment structure that applies discounts to patient bills based on household size and income level. Our dedicated care teams treat every patient with respect and culturally competent care. After all, we don't just treat illness and injury at Falls Community Health, we treat people. Learn more at siouxfalls.org/FCH.
Welcome back to Inside Town Hall, where we are visiting with City Councilor Curt Soehl, and let's talk a little bit about the 2024 proposed budget. The mayor has talked about the capital improvement program projects. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure, and the mayor's come out with it first, and next week we will have, on July 20th, we'll have the mayor's address to the city council, a special meeting. So he'll lay out his plan and his budget for us then. Then we start budget hearings, which consist of most of August and a little bit of September. We go in once a week, we will have that. And they'll start on August 3rd. Would move that meeting to Wednesday because Tuesday, August 2nd is National Night Out, which we usually have our meetings, and it's just really not feasible for the council members to attend National Night Out when we have a council meeting. So we decided to move that so we can do both things. So with the budget that the mayor's laid out, the capital plan, it's mainly streets and roads and things. It's an all-time high. Well, if you look at construction costs, of course it's an all-time high. We need to keep our roads updated. We need to continue with the expansion to match the things that have gone on. So as the state builds, like Veterans Parkway all the way around, we've got to do our share there to match up with that. One of the things that you'll see coming in the budget, and it's in the capital plan also, is the moving around as we redo our parks plan and our pools. So the original plan was to maybe redo McKinnon Park wading pool, and to do that with a bonding, with our new quality of life bond that we're going to come out. So through a lot of conversations, the administration's been very receptive to what the council would like to do, and that's to get that wading pool done. So we moved that off of the bonding and back into the budget. So hopefully that wading pool can get moved. That, between that and a few other things, that's about a $7 million hit right there. So we're going to do a lot of those things going forward.
Okay. You know, budget time is, everybody's always got their projects that they want to see completed. What are some of the things that you're looking most forward to completing in the next year or two?
Well, we have Elmwood Clubhouse that needs to be done, so the planning is being done for that. There's also the Parks Master Plan to look for. I mean, all of our parks need to be looked at on a continuous basis to make sure they need to meet the needs of the public. When you talk about the Falls Park Master Plan, that thing is still going to come out. Soon we will get presented the downtown plan for 2035, which I was part of that committee. We've done some great things. So it's going to be the plan, the community plan plan for what we would like to see downtown. There's going to be some moving parts going forward with that. We've got to keep investing in our downtown to keep it vibrant, to keep it up to date, to move that forward. The downtown Sioux Falls is the heartbeat of Sioux Falls. So I still have people coming. I just got contacted by a friend of mine from Lemon, wants to come to downtown Sioux Falls for a weekend, and he asked me where a good place to stay, a good place to eat. And I listed many places to stay and many places to eat. Well, that's kind of prideful as a city council member to say all of these places are good. So a lot of those things that are going to go forward in the budget. Personally, I think that we need to spend some of our resources to continue to address the housing issues that we have in Sioux Falls. There seems to be a gap. As we continue to fund that, you can identify gaps that we haven't fully funded yet. So we're going to start a housing trust fund. We're going to put some money in there that will identify housing needs for people that are working, that are low income, that really would like to get a house. So that plan is in the process right now.
Would that be people to purchase a house, the working poor to be able to purchase a house, or is that for rent, or what is it for?
The plan that's coming forward that I've been looking at is more for rental houses.
Okay.
So if you're a builder, developer, and you say, I can't rent to somebody that doesn't make X amount of money, but there's still a lot of people out there working that would like to have a place that can't afford it themselves. So hopefully the city can partner with a developer to lower those rents so those people that are working and still can afford to rent. So that's kind of what we're gearing towards right now. So a lot of work has been done by Sioux Falls Thrive and others to try and bring that plan forward.
Sure, and those, there's a lot of people that are working really hard, and at the end of the day, by the time they pay all their rent, they pay their insurance, put gas in the car, there's nothing left for food. And so that's where they're seeing those higher rents that, it really hits the bottom line. Back to the parks and some of those master plans, how do you see that as a quality of life to bring more people, workforce into the city?
Well, we continuously hear that parks is one of the big reasons that people come to town. If you're talking to anybody in the development business that says these corporations or these employers wants to move to Sioux Falls, they show off our parks. They show off whether it be Sherman Park, or if somebody's interested, their kids are in softball or baseball, they'll go to the Denny Sanford Sports Complex now that they've done that. But also the only reason that they could really build is our great park system today. So whether it be Harmon Park or Sherman Park or Tuthill Park, that's what they really show off. And also when you're talking to individual homeowners that are moving to Sioux Falls, why do they want to move to Sioux Falls? It's for a great employment, it's for our great citizens in Sioux Falls, the way we take care of people, and that's our parks that do that. There's nothing like, it's a beautiful day today. Our parks are going to be full this evening. Moms and dads out there playing with their kids. There'll be soccer games going on. There'll be kids flying kites. It's a great system, and we got to keep that up. We're known regionally for our great parks.
All right, well, great. Well, we're going to hear lots more about the mayor's budget proposal and some of the decisions that will be made at the budget hearings, which will be coming up next month. If you want more information, go to siouxfalls.org. Thanks for watching.